has to be a goal for Edmonton, and it wasn't. And he kept them in it, even though he gave up 3. But Edmonton was relentless, and Vancouver, I kept screaming at the television set, and later I found out PK Subban was doing as well. Shoot the puck! They searched for the perfect shot, and they couldn't find it, and they finally got active late, got 2 goals, but it was too late. Meanwhile, Edmonton is the team I wanted to see move on. I'm glad they're moving on to play Dallas.
So my word would be great. They should feel great. And by the way, I had this yesterday, I believe, that Edmonton would win this game. They should feel great because they were behind in the series the whole way. They were behind 1-0, and 2-1, and 3-2. They won 6 and 7, 7 on the road, and they won 7 without either Connor McDavid or Leon Draisaitl scoring a goal.
Having a point.
They're going to be the underdogs against Dallas because Dallas is the 1 seed, and Dallas has already proven they can lose the first 2 games at home and still win a series. Let me tell you this, Mike. Edmonton comes in there. They got the top 4 point scorers in the entire playoffs. Draisaitl, McDavid, Evan Bouchard, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Bouchard's 20 points are the most ever. They're coming in hot. They're coming in hot, even though the last time they were in this, they were swept.
That's right, 2006, I think it was. Tony, most importantly, Edmonton has the best player. We talk about best players in professional sports in series in the postseason. This is not jolly old England. We don't just go to the top of the table and say, oh, they won because they won it overseas. We got playoffs here. Connor McDavid, it seems to be and needs to be his time. All right, much like Jason Tatum. Let's go, Connor McDavid. Let's move to a buffet of baseball news. Rafael Devers of the Red Sox hit a home run for the 6th straight game. Yanks blew a 4-1 lead in the 9th to end their 7-game winning streak. Freddie Freeman hit a slam to lead the Dodgers over the Diamondbacks. Chris Sale moved to 7-1 for the Bravos. Christian Yelich stole home for the Cheeseheads.
Baseball record is 8. It's not going to be Christian Yelich stealing home, although I watched video of that, and it's a really cool play. It's going to have something to do with the Dodgers and the Braves and the Phillies and what is looming with them. Shohei Ohtani and Mookie Betts are off to fabulous starts. If Freddie Freeman joins them with a fabulous start, there's no pitcher in baseball that wants to face them 1, 2, 3 at the top of the order, maybe 4 different times in a game. You know, you're not going to be able to do that. In terms of the Braves, they lost Spencer Strider to a Tommy John surgery. He was the only guy in the majors last year to win 20. But Chris Sale looks like he's replacing him. Chris Sale hasn't been healthy in 3 or 4 years. He's 7-1. His ERA is 2.22. Let me get this right. 70 strikeouts in 56 innings, right? And look, I know you hate the Phillies. I just saw them sweep the Nationals. They scored runs whenever they needed to score runs. They're the second highest scoring team in baseball. They're 26-6 lately. They're on a pace for 115 wins. Those 3 teams are the best in the National League. That's what's looming.
Yeah, Tony, let me go back to the specific question about most impressive last night. To me, what mattered the most is Freddie Freeman. Because if Freddie Freeman really joins, and he said like 290-something anyway, but if he joins Mookie and Ohtani at the top of that lineup, and then you got Max Muncy, who already attended a game where he had 3 home runs, and then you got Teoscar Hernandez. Come on. That lineup, there's a couple of pitchers. My God, this kid from Pittsburgh is going to bear watching because he throws at 100 miles an hour about 20 times a game if he doesn't have Tommy John next week. And, of course, my man on the Cubs, who is completely unhittable, more so for anybody in like 40 years since Fernando Valenzuela. That lineup, Tony, that lineup of the Dodgers, if Freddie Freeman gets it going, I don't know how you deal with them.
That's right. I agree. Totally agree. We move now to college football and the story that Clemson has added no new players from the transfer portal. They only had 1 last year. 2 years ago, Clemson was 11-3. Last year, they slid to 9-4, their worst record since 2010. Most people expected Dabo Swinney to finally come around and add transfers, but Swinney said, quote, "We like our guys," unquote. Wilbon, how do you feel about Swinney's decision to basically opt out of the portal?
Well, Tony, listen, a lot of coaches have, some famous ones. Famous ones who were famous in the last 5 years, famous ones who were famous before that. You and I know some of them, and they have said to us, privately, if not publicly. I don't want any part of that. They don't. They said, enough. That's a new world. It's a different world. I don't want to deal with that. That is not the world that I grew up in, navigated, won a national championship in or more. And I can respect that. I don't know that it can work. Although maybe it'll be a tempest in a teapot, and after 4 or 5 years, we'll come out on the other side of something that doesn't look all that different than what we had the previous 50. I don't think that's going to happen. But Dabo was very clear about his position. I know there's a split reaction down there, Tony, in South Carolina, to whether or not people think he can do it and can do it successfully. Because the old way he mastered. This way, not so much yet. My feeling is if he doesn't get it right this year, they're going to start talking about buyouts if he doesn't get it right real quickly.
Let me start with this. There are 4 D1 football playing schools in America that added no transfers. Clemson is one of them. The other 3 are Army, Navy, and Air Force. That's not how they operate. So Clemson is the only football school that didn't add any transfers. I'm not going to say anything bad about Dabo Swinney. He's got 2 national championships, been in a final game 4 times. But I think this is a bad decision, Mike. I don't see why you'd be a conscientious objector to this particular thing, which is legal now. You need to think of the transfer portal as a big pond where giant, great football players are swimming. I don't understand the principle not to take them. The new world order is NIL and the transfer portal. Don't tie one hand behind your back, Mike. Don't do
Tony,
it. I don't understand it.
I think once you have 2 national championships, that is your principle. You can say, I did this. I don't have to capitulate to anybody. You think Nick Saban loved the new world and the new horizon that college football was swimming to, even though he's the GOAT? Okay.
He got out.
So if Dabo
Swinney wants to get out,
but
if he wants to get out,
get out. He still got some time
left.
One
of the greatest coaches we ever saw in any sport, Mike, was Dean Smith. One of the greatest ever. When the rules were changed, Dean Smith always adapted to the rules and always won. Let's take a break. Coming up, the Eastern Conference Finals tip off tonight. Do the Pacers have a chance against the Celtics? We'll ask Kendrick Perkins.
We're also going to ask him how he sees the Dallas Mavericks matching up with the Minnesota Timberwolves. Suppose Dabo wins this way, then what are you going to say to him?
Swinney says that most guys aren't good enough to play for Clemson. But what about the guys who go to Alabama or Georgia? They're good enough.
Let's see.
The Pacers and Celtics start their series tonight, which makes it a perfect time to bring in our great friend from NBA Today, Mr. Kendrick Perkins. Let's start with this. Jason Tatum recently said he does not understand the criticism that the Celtics lack toughness. Do you understand it?
Hell yeah, I do. And look, it's not just physical toughness, it's mental toughness, right? When you talk about getting over that mental hump, when is Jason Tatum going to grow his game to be one of the best closers in the game when it matters the most? Because right now he's one of the worst when we're talking about guys that qualify, especially guys that are in his tier, in his age group. At the end of the day, Jason Tatum is worried about the wrong thing. The only thing that he needs to be worried about is joining the company of Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Kevin McHale, Cedric Cornbread Maxwell, and that's cementing his legacy in royalty, right? In the Celtics royalty. That's it. Everything else is misdemeanor. Go and prove us wrong if we feel like you're mentally soft. That's all I got to say. Prove us wrong.
Well, Perk, you proved almost everybody wrong in the last round because I was sitting right next to you the first day when you said, and you did it on this show, when you said you're going to take Minnesota to beat Denver, which happens. So we're going to test you again. Do you have the Pacers having any shot of beating your old team, the Celtics?
You know what? I got this series going 7 games. Series going 7 games because Kristaps Porzingis, we don't know if he's going to come back, and I believe he's the most important player on that roster. I don't know how much the Celtics can depend on in old Al Horford, although he's been playing some good basketball. But when you think about Indiana, let me say this. We're watching a team that is growing right in front of our eyes. And when I say growing, I'm talking about the adjustment that has been made. right? In the regular season, we're talking about one of, if not the best offensive team in the league. But what happened in that Knicks series, I saw that they were not afraid to get in the trenches and get dirty. They got physical with the New York Knicks. They responded to Rick Carlisle calling them out publicly. They paid attention to details, the defensive scheme that they had around Jalen Brunson, rebounding the basketball. So they have a mixture of old veterans and they have a mixture of youth that are being stars in their role. And when you have a championship leader in Pascal Siakam, who in my opinion has been the best player for the Indiana Pacers because he's leading the team in scoring, then absolutely they got a chance of beating the Boston Celtics. I have the Celtics in 7, but if the Celtics don't come out prepared and think that they're playing against the Cavs or the Miami Heat, they got another thing coming and they'll be sent home.
All right, I alluded already to Minnesota Timberwolves and you picking them correctly to beat Denver in this most recent round. How do you like Minnesota's chances in this next round against the Mavs? How do you see that matchup?
Oh, you been ready for this? Y'all ready for this one? I got Minnesota winning it all, okay? They have been putting on defensive clinics throughout this postseason. First sweeping the Suns, and then what they did to the defending champs and the best player in the world, Nikola Jokic, winning game 1, putting on a defensive masterpiece in game 2, and then having one of the greatest game 7s of all time when your best player in Anthony Edwards goes 6 for 24 from the field, right? But they stayed true to their identity. That's getting stops. When you have a team that's bought in defensively and you have the personnel to go out there defensively and get stops on a consistent basis, I don't know a team that's still in the postseason that's going to be able to beat this Minnesota team 4 out of 7 times.
So we'll get you out of here on this, and this may now be a moot question because of your answer that Minnesota will win, because I was going to talk about Dallas and the skepticism about putting Luka Doncic on the same floor with Kyrie Irving, which seems to have worked so far. Why do you think it's working when most of us did not think it would work and it didn't work last year?
Because it's been all Kyrie Irving. Just think about the last series against Oklahoma City, right? Kyrie Irving had walked out of, I believe, a game 2 with 9 points, but he had a playoff career high with 11 assists, and he was doing the other things, right? Guarding SGA in the fourth quarter, being a guy that was talking and communicating, and being a leader, right? Did you hear what he told Derek Lively? Stop running away from being fouled and step up and make the free throws. Trusting the extra pass to get P.J. Washington shots in the corner where he all of a sudden came Ray Allen. And now what you saw is Luka started to follow. Kyrie Irving is the reason that the Dallas Mavericks are having success, and he's also the reason that him and Luka Doncic are able to coexist.
This is why we love having you. Thank you,
And guess what?
Absolutely,
Guess
Perk.
what? Guess what? Guess what, Will
Appreciate
Bourne?
it.
Guess what,
You
Will
stuck
Bourne?
with
Guess
me
what,
the rest
Tony?
of the week. You
I
and
got
stuck
something for
together.
y'all. I got something for y'all. I ordered y'all a chain, and we're going to wear it on set together. It'll be in a couple of weeks,
We're happy
and we're going to
to.
wear it
Here
on
we
set
go.
together.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes,
I
sir.
can't wait to see Wilbon in that. ESPN coverage starts with NBA Countdown at 7 p.m. Eastern. Let's take one last break. Still to come, Caitlin Clark still looking for her first WNBA win.
She'll get it. I mean, people need to chill. Serena Williams tweets something intriguing.
I watched that game, Mike. I watched Caitlin Clark last night. Happy time, people. Happy 28th birthday, Josh Allen.
MVP, his teammate with the Cubs in the magical 2016, irrelevant, that barely out there sometimes. Javi Baez, we don't hear him, and hear about him. He was magical in that season and a couple of others for the Cubbies. Looks like they made the right move, but Rizzo, sort of the emotional favorite of a lot of us.
Last night, our 0-4 Indiana Fever lost. They've lost twice to Connecticut, twice to New York, who are combined 7-0. Clark had 17 points and 5 assists against the Sun, but the headline was she turned her ankle in the second quarter went down on the floor in a heap and had to be helped off the court. I was watching that game. I was actually afraid she broke her ankle. Turned out to be a sprain. She returned to the bench quickly and returned to the game in the second half. The good news is that Clark is drawing eyeballs to the WNBA, and she's shooting better, though her turnovers are still rampant.
Yeah, she is shooting better, Tony, and she's going to get there. I find this whole watch for a win a little annoying because there are other teams in the league, and you just mentioned two of them who haven't lost, who are very much worth watching, more worth watching right now than the Indiana Fever.
One correction, the Oilers were swept in the Western Conference Finals in 2022. 2006, which Wilbon talked about, was the last time they made the Stanley Cup Final. Let's go quickly to the big finish. Serena Williams tweeted, quote, "I'm ready to hit some balls again," unquote. What does that say to you?
Nothing. I know Tom Brady's coming back too, right? I mean, enough. Aaron Rodgers has no limitations, reportedly, at Jets OTAs. Is that significant?
No, he's healthy. Everybody knows he's healthy. Go play. Austin Reeves finished 11 shots back in an attempt to qualify for a Corn Ferry tournament. Are you impressed?
How great is that? He's a two handicaps as he was nervous and shaking on the first tee. You and I know that feeling. We're out of our element. Good for Austin Reeves. 9 News in Australia reports the NFL's looking to play a regular season game down under. Does that make sense?
Of course, they're going to Brazil also. They go everywhere. Just that the time change is so vast there. Last one, Mercury at Aces tonight. Who you got?
At Aces, man. They're really, really good. Now that is a team I want to watch a whole lot more than Indiana. The Aces. Mercury, though, Phoenix.
We're out of time. We'll try and do better the next time. Kim and Tony in Canada feel better.
I'm Mike Wilbon. Same time tomorrow, Knuckleheads. NBA Countdown at 7 Eastern tonight before Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals. And now, PTI. Your sports.
For the first time this postseason. Let's go to the NFL. Aaron Rodgers, a full participant in Jets OTAs. Great news for New York after last season's Super Bowl aspirations fell apart with the quarterback's torn Achilles in the 4th snap of the year. Head coach Robert Saleh now says his 40-year-old quarterback looks good. As for Aaron, one word, confidence.
I have a lot of motivation. I love the game. I want to play at a high level. I don't want to go out, I've said it before, as a bum. I want to be able to play. That's why I put the work in. Believe in my abilities. I mean, you guys saw it today when there's no pads on, but I can obviously still throw with the best of them. My confidence in my ability to move, getting back to where it was last year, and going out and playing well. I mean, I think all the individual possibilities for recognition would be great. But if I play the way I'm capable of playing, we're going to be playing for a lot more than that.
Very confident man, NFL analyst Marcus Spears with us now. If he's healthy, what are your expectations for Aaron Rodgers and the Jets this upcoming season?
Yeah, Kev, I think they should be vying for an AFC championship opportunity and represent the AFC in the Super Bowl if they stay healthy. And I know we have begun to preface everything with that, but the reality is he's coming off of torn Achilles. Seeing this movement, OTAs, is great. This is a story that I care about in the off-season training activities. The fact that Aaron Rodgers can bound, the fact that he can run. We see him do drops. We see him drop back and push the football down the field. They said he had a good outing on 11 versus 11, even though it's no pads and no contact. But this is the expectation. Kev, we can actually re-rack a lot of what we said leading into the preseason last year when Aaron Rodgers became a Jet, and we had the expectations for this team. We had questions about the offensive line. Now that question has shifted to if these guys can stay healthy. But when you look at this roster and you look at the talent, and if Aaron Rodgers is the Aaron Rodgers we all expect him to be, as long as he's playing football, this team should be vying for an opportunity to play in the Super Bowl, at least an AFC championship.
And to your point, one consistent thing was their defense always showed up every single week. They just needed consistent quarterback play. Jets tie with the Dolphins with the second best odds to win the AFC East at plus 200. Both are right behind the Bills at plus 160. Let's stay in the AFC. Very interesting situation, Steelers camp, with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. Head coach Mike Tomlin has said Wilson is the starter, but Jeremy Fowler says to expect Fields to get plenty of first-team snaps during OTAs. It's shaping up to be a healthy quarterback competition. What did the quarterback say?
We've gotten to know each other. We used to text each other all the time and everything else. Now we're in the same room. So every day, I'm trying to be my best so I can also show him and vice versa. And we're just continue to challenge one another, be the best version we can be for this football team. And that's the great part about it.
They're professionals. And so I'm excited about that, but I'm not surprised by it. There's an expectation there. Both guys have been franchise-like guys, if you will. They've gotten out of their cars in the morning and worn the responsibility of being that guy for a franchise. And so, there's residual benefit from that. And so I'm excited about us receiving it.
I'm definitely, competing. I think, Russ knows that. We're competing against each other every day. Him being out there for me, that, helps me getting better, us pushing each other. So, I definitely don't have the mindset of, me just, sitting all year. So, I'm coming in every day, giving it all I got, and, pushing him to be his best, and he's, pushing me to be my best each and every day. So, appreciate that.
On the scene in Pittsburgh, Brooke Pryor. By the way, that was the first time Justin Fields addressed the media since he was traded back in March. So, Brooke, during that conversation, what else did you learn?
Well, Kevin, I learned that Justin Fields said he felt relieved when he got the call at about 10 p.m. as he was eating dinner in Italy that he had been traded from the Chicago Bears. And it wasn't just relief that he was finally out of limbo, but in where he was being traded. Because Fields said that he told his agent during this process that he wanted to be in Pittsburgh. And it didn't matter that the Steelers had signed Russell Wilson. This was still the place he wanted to be. He felt it was a good fit as an organization, and he really likes Coach Mike Tomlin. But Fields did say that he thought that once Russell Wilson signed, that maybe his opportunity to go to Pittsburgh was evaporating. That's when his agent a couple days later said, hey, I think Kenny Pickett's going to be on the move. There is still an opportunity for you here. Now, Fields said that, like he did in Chicago, he's taking walks around Pittsburgh to get used to the city, and said that the Yinzers here are very friendly. He said he's taken several Ubers to the airport, and every time it's about a 30-minute conversation with that Uber driver, and he has really just loved meeting everyone and getting immersed in this culture.
That is saying all the right things in a town that will love you back. Trust me, Brooke, thank you so much. If you go back here since Big Ben retired, the Steelers have struggled to find success with their quarterbacks throwing the fewest touchdowns and averaging under 200 passing yards per game. The bad news here for this fantastic fan base, things might not get much better. The two quarterbacks they brought in this offseason hold two of the three worst records as starters over the last two seasons. Marcus Spears back with us. The schedule makers didn't do the Steelers any favors, especially the final 8 games of the season. They have the third toughest schedule in the NFL heading into the fall. So with all of that, how confident are you in the Steelers situation when it comes to quarterback?
I'm confident because of Mike Tomlin. Obviously, Kev, we've known this not